Greetings, fellow woodworkers and makers of great things. Welcome to my shop. Today, as the title probably gave away, I'm going to talk about onboard dust collection. So some of you have seen my shop tour video and no, I don't have an elaborate dust collection system. I have a 2 horsepower dust collector that runs a straight shot trunk to my jointer. There's a Y on that line that swings over and grabs the table saw, and then that also branches off to a flexible hose that can connect to my bandsaw or to my planer when I need it. And that's pretty much all I use the dust collector for. I've got some other things like a sander and a router table specifically that also need dust collection. But rather than try to find elaborate ways to connect them to the dust collector by adding additional fixed lines or running long hoses all over the place, I decided to just put onboard dust collection. The truth is that the kind of material that comes from a router table or a sander is easily accommodated by, a small shop vac or a dust extractor, as they're calling the higher price ones these days. And there's no need for special ducting or to get it connected to your big honking, dust collector system. So today I'd like to talk to you about that, but let's start by looking at some dust, something that's near and dear to every woodworker. And here we have it. This is the stuff that comes out of our machines when we start making stuff, and it's different. It's very different. We can see here sanding dust that comes out of a sander, extraordinarily fine. We can easily pick that up with a shop vac or anything. Over here we got dust that comes out of a router, and man, and there's some mix in here, right? Because you could just tell by the different species of wood that different things were in that pail before I emptied it. But it could be finer, it could be coarser. This is about as coarse as it's going to get with a router. Router spit at an extraordinarily high RPM and taking off little bits and pieces. Over here we've got table saw, and with table saw we start getting a lot stringier. We get bigger pieces, and by the time we get to the planer and joiner, we've got hamster stuff here, man. This would clog a shop vac in a minute, right? So the other thing we know is that when you buy a modern sander or a modern router, it will come with some means of adapting to a shop vac, or again, a dust extractor, as they're coming to be known as the filtration and performance gets better, right? But both a sander and a router will come with a small hose attachment for a traditional shop vac or extractor. So that's enough to tell me that that's all I really need to handle these two tools. I could hook up a shop vac to a table saw, but I don't know. I'm thinking a lot of clogging. I'm thinking emptying it every 10 minutes, and certainly a planer joiner is going to overwhelm a shop vac or dust extractor well before you even get started. I mean, this stuff will sometimes, as you know, block up a 4-inch line if it feels like it. So no way to do shop vac level dust collection with this. Really not advised here. These two, no problem. One thing I'll mention is that on the sander, I have a shop vac that has a filter and a bag for filtration, and most of them can be had that way because they use them a lot for drywall situations where they really want to try to keep the dust down in a homeowner's residence. So that's our dust. Now let's take a look at what I've come up with to try to collect it. Okay, so this is my router table. It lives outside the shop on the other half of the garage. It's on wheels. I bring it in when I need it. It's a pretty standard router table. I obviously built that cart. It's a little tall, which I like because I'm on the tall side. So it works good for me height wise, and it has a little platform on the bottom to hold this shop vac, which allegedly is 6 gallons and 3 horsepower. 3 horsepower, really? Okay. You got to wonder how they come up with these ratings these days, right? But what's useful about that is that there is a Y down here. Let's spin this around a little bit. Get you back here. There is a Y right there. So that hose is coming out of the shop vac into the Y, and then up. One hose is going to the fence to extract dust coming off the bit, and the second one is branching off and going up to a through handle port in the router. So when I'm using the router table in this manner with the dust collector on, I'm getting dust collection through the router pulling down, and I'm getting dust collection over here through the fence pulling out anything that flies back up. And it's very good. I'm going to say it's well over 90% dust collection with this thing. It just works like an absolute charm. And what I did was I simply mounted, get some camera work here, try to keep you in the light. I simply mounted an electrical box under the table, right? So I've got a power cord right there that feeds that electric box. That electrical box is switched so that each of the units, the router and the shop vac, can be turned on and off independently, and that's switched right here. So all I need to do is turn on the switches, and I've got immediate dust collection right where I need it. And I'll be honest, I put two switches. I switched the two units independently because I wasn't sure about startup amps, and if I simultaneously started up a shop vac, and I think that's a 2.5 horsepower, 2.25 horsepower motor at the same time, would I trip a circuit? Well, it turns out you won't. You can put them both on at the same time. But not knowing I did it that way, played it safe. And the cool thing is that wherever I am, all I need to do is get a power cord, plug this in, and into that plug, and I am one flick of a switch away from starting up and getting going. Let me put you guys on hold a minute. I'm going to try to crawl under there and give you a better shot of the hookup. Okay, so I'm on the floor now looking up under the router table. That's a Porter Cable 890 router. Got to check the horsepower. 2.25, 2.5, don't recall. But if you can see here, it's got a through handle dust port that goes up and pulls the dust off right underneath the cutter there. Let's see if I can get a little closer shot of that. So right there is where that handle dust port comes out and grabs the dust and pulls it down. And the dust is coming up from this hose that comes off the Y. And at the same time, anything that gets out of there is getting captured by the fence up in the, captured by the port up in the fence. And over here you can get another view of the electrical outlets. Just a couple of boxes, one with a switch, one with a couple of outlets that capture all that. And it's about as simple as that. It's just a matter of having that Y so that you can take the suction and divide it and then send it to both places at the same time. Here I've got a narrow belt and disc sander. Same basic principle. I learned my lesson on the first one, and I only put a single switch on it, right? We're just going to switch it once. We don't worry about tripping a breaker on startup amps. There's just not enough there to make that happen. But this is a very similar setup. You can see that this particular sander has an extraction port right there, pulling up sand that comes off of the belt. And it's got another port in the back here pulling up dust that comes off of the disc. So let's spin this into the light, maybe be able to see a little better. Part of my camera work. And now we can see back here what I did. Same basic idea, right? I've got the main line coming off of the shop vac, going into a Y, and then the Y splits and picks up both of the ports. And here you can see the electrical connection I made. Plug it into a simple outlet, and it's going to pick up dust from both locations at the same time and run the machine. So we can come around here again and see that if I turn on this switch, I've got both things operating at the same time. Turn it off and they both come off. So that's my thoughts on onboard dust collection. I hope some of you find it useful. And thanks for watching as always. Please, if you like this, please click the like button and think about subscribing. That really helps me out. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.